What if archaeologists thought they had found an actual object as described in the Iliad? Well, in 1876, Heinrich Schliemann thought he had. In Book 11 of the Iliad, Homer describes the cup of Nestor, who was the king of Pylos. It was heavy, studded with gold nails, and had 4 handles. On each handle, a pair of golden doves was feeding. Most men could barely lift it when it was full, but old King Nestor could raise it easily. So in 1876, Schliemann was excavating Shaft Grave 4 at Grave Circle A in Mycenae. It was the same cluster of graves that produced the Mask of Agamemnon and the Lion Hunt dagger. But he did also find a gold cup. It was gold, and it had 2 handles, with 1 bird on each handle. It was small, about 15 centimeters tall, and weighed just under 300 grams. Schliemann described it as vividly reminiscent of Homer's cup of Nestor, and so he named it Nestor's Cup, and that name has stuck. And to be fair to him for once, there are some parallels. Both cups are gold, and both cups have birds on the handles, and both have unusual supports beneath. The cup found at Mycenae is the only known example of its shape, a vafio body on the stem with multiple handles, which makes it genuinely unusual for the Mycenaean world. Its distinctiveness is what made the comparison feel meaningful in the first place. But unfortunately, the differences might be harder to dismiss than the similarities. Homer says it had 4 handles, and as you can see, this one only has 2. Homer says 2 doves on each handle, for a total of 8 doves. The Mycenae cup only has 2 handles with 1 bird each. And these birds have since been identified as falcons, not as doves. It also weighs less than 300 grams, making it easy for anyone to pick up. And the most important distinction is the date. This cup was buried in the shaft grave in the 16th century BC. The Trojan War, if it happened, was in the 12th. So the cup would have been buried in the ground for about 300 years before King Nestor would have been born. But Stephanie Alsbrook, writing in 2019, makes the most interesting observation about all of this. She basically says that Homer's description is too vague, and that scholars have been comparing this cup to an interpretation of the text, not the actual text. And she raises the possibility that this cup and the cup found in Homer were already drawn on from a pre-existing myth. AKA, neither one is the original, but both may be versions of the same legendary object. You can visit this object at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. It is unique and genuinely extraordinary, but sadly, it is almost certainly not King Nestor's cup.